Hey friends, Sheree here. Welcome back to the channel, Gardening at Home with Sheree. Well, we are in the greenhouse today. I have a bunch of stuff to get done, and so I thought today would be a good day to film and share a couple things. There'll be a few videos coming out from today's work. In this video here, I'm going to share with you all some new herbs that I got in for the 2026 garden season. And so yeah, let's get over to the table. We're going to do a little recap of what's going on in the garden, and then we'll talk about these and a couple other plants. Okay, well, today I'm in the greenhouse at the lower garden, and just doing some maintenance. I actually am going to be getting a lot of things out of this greenhouse that I brought in to start seeds with. The shelves and the little pop-up mini greenhouses that I stored those in. I'm going to set this up just for my leisure and my pleasure to enjoy, throughout the rest of the summer. And I'll probably only be keeping, the citrus and some other plants in here. And of course, the 3 razzleberry greenstalks will remain in here. I haven't done anything besides sowing the seeds and watering it, but I do want to get in here and do some maintenance, some fertilization. I tested out some tomato and pepper seeds, direct seed sowing, to see if they would germinate and how they would grow. And the peppers and tomatoes started from seed are finally popping up, so that's encouraging. And I have all kinds of stuff growing in here. Squash, looks like that's going to start fruiting soon. Loads of beans, peas, herbs. Oh, I need to spin this because the peppers that I started on this side, tomatoes rather, that I started on this side are way taller. So yeah, I need to do some general maintenance even on the green stalks. There are a lot of spiders that are getting in here, and taking care of bugs on the plants. Probably also doing a little bit of pollination as well. But these peppers that I put in from transplants, look at that thing. Very small but scary looking. Better not jump on me. But the daddy longlegs especially are like all up in here doing bug control. So anyway, I'm going to be going through, assessing things, watering, taking notes. This year is really just for me to, or this season is just to understand what grows well in the greenstock, in the greenhouse, right? Because it's very different than the green stalks outside. The green stalks outside are getting the full sun, they're getting rain, and they just get way more attention. But yeah, I plan on coming out here and just kind of sitting and hanging out in here, working in here more. Now that the most of the things I started from seeds, the flowers and stuff are out. So I want to set it up just to be, more lovely for me when I come in. So I just wanted to share a few things that are still in here. These are the coleus plants that I still have yet to transplant out. I'm actually going to put these out in my front garden. Beautiful. I have a balcony off of my living room that I think I'm going to add these to some of the baskets, and then I'm going to start a bunch more of these because they grow really quickly. I've grown a couple rounds of these. They grow really fast, and it's crazy how expensive these little annuals are in the store for me. I mean, a 5-inch pot could be like $7 to $10 some places. So, and I have a bunch of varieties of the coleuses, so I'm going to start a bunch more of these. So just to remember, I'll link to the video. I did record one sowing of these if you want to see all the varieties, but this is the Folia Sunset coleus. This is the Folia Picasso. That's this one here. Oh, and also this one, that's what it looks like, bigger. And then I have one left of this one. This is the coleus red. This one here. So, I wanted to share that. They're so beautiful. This here I'm gonna water and actually transplant out to a bunch of places. This is that French marigold, the Panther French marigold. And if I remember correctly, the blossoms on this are red. So I just sowed them in this pot just to sow a bunch of them because I had a big pack of them. And then here are two fun things. These look like they weren't doing anything for a while. I'll link to that video. I got a bunch of like, what do they call them? Bare root in a box plants from Tractor Supply. I would say I had about a 50%, 50 to 60% rate so far of like what actually leafed out. Now my understanding is some things might just take longer to come out of dormancy. I don't know, but I have my receipt in case they don't. But the 2 figs in a box that I got for a couple dollars are leafing out nicely. I mean, I put these in the soil, what, maybe 2 months ago? Well, it was sometimes in May and it's July 1st. So yeah, I'm actually pretty pleased with that. So I'm definitely going to keep these fig trees in the greenhouse so that they can stay protected. And then they will probably go indoors in my grow room. But I'm going to keep them in here because in the past when I had them, they were labeled as, you know, good for our zone, and they did not come back. And so this year I'm going to just keep them in the greenhouse because I know that I won't forget about them outdoors in the peak of harvest season. I forget to bring things inside sometimes. So yeah, I'm thrilled with those. Then this is the guava plant. It's actually been putting on new growth in here. And then all the different citrus plants have just been growing. Seems like not all the fruit is getting pollinated. Maybe I should be doing some hand pollination here in the greenhouse. So I'll, again, once I have this set up where I'm just hanging out here and not so focused on, you know, planting stuff in the garden. There's always something new to plant, but it's mostly, you know, done. I feel like that one doesn't look good, but those two still look good. That one looks good. And so, yeah, you know, that'll be part of my, you know, routine is just to take care of the plants that are in here. Keep them growing like this. I mean, this grew back from being dead. So exciting. And like this one here bloomed and now it looks like it's fruiting, but see here, they didn't get pollinated. So yeah, I can, you know, be in here paying more attention to these. This is my pomegranate, little dwarf pomegranate tree. My 2 olive trees are still doing good. So I have some new shelves and tables that I'm going to be bringing in here too, so things can get lifted up off the ground and get more sun. And then this shelf here has some of the last flowers. These are just a lot more marigolds. I'm just going to start plopping those into different places throughout the garden. Now that all the tomatoes and peppers and eggplant and squash and zucchini and okra, melons, all that stuff is planted. And so now I'm going to go in and just fill in space with all these different marigolds. And then here are some more citrus. Again, these had all blossomed. I don't think, you know, all these are going to turn to fruit, but yeah, just trying to keep it alive, you know. Yeah, but they've grown a lot. This one here is currently blooming. So yeah, it smells so good. These citrus have this greenhouse just smelling heavenly. And then outside I have 2 jasmine plants that I'm going to be bringing in here as well. And then I do have a couple of pots that I'm going to put some melons in that I'm going to just see how they grow within the greenhouse as well. So here's a cucumber plant in one of the green stalks. I need to go around and harvest more mint. This is an apple mint plant that's gotten really tall and cut that back. Orange mint is ready to be trimmed again. And then what I think I'm going to do is just sow maybe a dozen leafy green plants that I'll put in those bottom rows. I'm going to start them as transplants and transplant them. And so yeah, we'll get all these pockets filled with something growing. I already told y'all about the new mint varieties that I got in this year. I'll link that video in case you haven't seen that. But those are some new herbs that you know, I have a lot of different mints, and so I'm excited to have these new varieties in my collection. And in the last video where I talked about them, I showed you how I've propagated them to generate more plants for myself. All right, so I'm very excited about these two new additions. I think these are basically the same plant, even though they were sold with different names. So this is the variegated Cuban oregano, and you can see the variegation on the newer growth coming in. And then this one was sold to me as with the name the Vix plant, but then when I did some research, I think this is also the same plant. It is a Cuban oregano, non-variegated. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research on them, but I think they're the same. They smell the same. They should have the same uses. They're just, you know, I guess different cultivars of the same plant. So we'll see. But I'm gonna do some more research on that. We'll talk about that again in a separate video. But I'm gonna up pot these into these two red pots, and I'm gonna keep them up in my hillside garden so I can monitor them and hopefully be able to grow. Hopefully they'll grow and I can harvest some, but I'll keep them in these containers so that they're easy to bring into the greenhouse or into my indoor home garden that I use during the winter, so I can keep these alive, because they are not going to be perennial here in zone 4, according to my research at least, and I'm not going to test it. They were a little expensive. Okay, next up I'm adding some comfrey to the garden. This pot here has, I think there were 3 or 4 unrooted cuttings that I got, and I just put them together in this pot, and it took a little bit. It took a couple weeks, but you can see here at least 2 of the 3 are coming up. This one in the middle came up first, and then this one is new within the last couple days, popping up under the soil. So I'm gonna leave these 2 in this container to continue to grow, but I do have a couple more that I bought as the plant, not as the cutting. But I do have these 2 here that I bought as plants and not as cuttings, and it looks like there are multiple sprouting in there. So I'm going to take one of these. I'm going to up pot both of them, but I'm going to up pot this one and leave it here in the greenhouse. This one here is going to get up potted, and it's going to join the Cuban oregano plants up in the hillside garden. And this one I'm going to leave in the greenhouse as well to continue to get bigger. So that's number. And then the final new plant that I got that I'm going to share. I have started this from seed. It has grown from seed, and then I have neglected it, and it has gone on to the other side. So I grabbed this again. This was like a plant clearance sale that I found locally, and yeah, looks pretty good. So I'm going to up pot that as well, and that will also go up in the hillside garden. And again, these red pots will stick out when fall comes and I need to start moving things into either the greenhouse or the indoor home garden to keep them protected from frost. And so hopefully I can keep these alive and not have to, you know, rebuy them next year because I forgot to bring them inside. So I'm going to get these up potted. I'm going to get this other comfrey up potted, the little wounded warrior here. Going to get that up potted as well. And then I'll show you what everything looks like. I'm really excited about this comfrey. I might have to go back and pick up a couple more plants. This is what it's looking like. And it's like a cluster all on the side. I think I'm gonna try to separate these and spread them out in the pot. So as they grow, if I want to separate them more to have more individual plants, I will. So I'm just gonna very carefully try to separate them maybe into 2 clumps to start with. So they seem like they were kind of growing out of the same section. There's like a long woody section here. And so, but there's still some of it there, and it definitely has roots. So I'm gonna just put them on separate parts of the pot, and maybe I'll get lucky before the end of the season. I'll be able to separate out 3 plants. So, I mean, it already kind of looks like 3 plants, right? One there, one there. And this one here might even separate into 2. We'll see. But I have them kind of far apart so they can develop their own stronger root systems. I'm definitely gonna separate it into 2, maybe even 3 or 4. Here's my little sad one, but I think it's gonna recover fine. As it puts off more leaves, and I'll come in and just cut those off. But like I said, this will stay in the greenhouse. I can monitor it. Okay, and finally, here's the astragalus. So I'm gonna just let these kind of rest and stabilize for a day. And then I'll move them up into the hillside garden. Put them in a spot where they're not in direct sun as they kind of acclimate and develop their root structure. And then we'll definitely have a peek at these in a few weeks, probably when I do a garden tour. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.